GRINDSET, inside the mind of successful entrepreneurs with your host, Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack.
Welcome back to another episode of GRINDSET. I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels, Chief Event Strategist of Cynthia Daniels and Company.
And I'm your co-host, Williams Brack, your favorite banker.
And today's guest is Felicia Jarrell, CEO of Goldmine and Coco. This company is an online stationery and lifestyle brand where planners, accessories, and apparel are sprinkled with Black girl magic.
Oh, sprinkled with Black girl magic. Look, the name itself has me extremely interested, and I checked out the website and it looks awesome. So I really want to know who the target audience is and how Felicia is in 3 years has built this company up so well.
Absolutely. And Brack, despite dropping out of college and being a busy wife and a mother of two, she's been able to reach her dreams. She started a company with $100 and it is now a six-figure company.
This sounds like the epitome of GRINDSET. And so we'll be right back with Felicia Jarrell, CEO of Goldmine and Coco, after the break.
GRINDSET.
I'm Leslie Lynn Smith, President and CEO of Epicenter, and we've partnered with KUDZUKIAN. Each episode, hosts Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack talk shop with Memphis' brightest and best entrepreneurs. Check it out by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app or find us on your favorite podcast provider.
Well, no, you had the Buffalo game, but understand New York and upstate New York, they are not moderates by any measure.
They may not,
I right?
They may not be, but guess what? Even conservatives get sick.
Funky politics.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
GRINDSET.
We are so excited to have Felicia Jarrell in the studio with us today. She is the CEO of Goldmine and Coco. Welcome to the GRINDSET show.
Hey, everybody out there.
Yeah, so, she's definitely introducing Brack and I to a new world, and we're just going to jump right in so all of our listeners can also understand what this amazing brand is. So, first of all, Felicia, what is Goldmine and Coco, and how did it get started?
Goldmine and Coco is an online stationery and lifestyle brand where we sprinkle planners, accessories, and apparel with Black girl magic so you can make a powerful statement and plan for success. So our merchandise features hand-drawn depictions of everyday Black women and delivers the sentiment of sisterhood and positive vibes you need to achieve your life and business goals. So hope that made sense to all of you out there. But basically, girl, we sell stationery that represents you.
Well, we love that. We love that, girl. And how did that even get started? And just the name itself, where did that name come from?
So Goldmine and Coco came from, I have always since MySpace, since social media has been out there, I have called myself Goldmine.
Oh, okay.
I believe, Goldmine is where you find the treasure. It's where you find the gold. You know what I'm saying? So I've always considered myself a treasure chest. Like, if you get this, you don't won.
Shout out to your husband.
Yes.
He won.
So I just always called myself a gold mine. And Coco comes from my cousin. Her name is Courtney.
Okay.
She is my older cousin. She introduced me into the community that I serve.
Okay.
And so a year prior to opening the business, we had discussed opening a shop together. She actually is an assistant director for the state of Tennessee over the DIDD. So she's a very busy woman. And then I was working in banking and we had discussed doing it, but I got pregnant. I found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
So we had just kind of laid it to the side. So we already had the name per se, Goldmine and Coco, and it just flowed. Like, it was just different. Instead of such and such paper shop or, I wanted a name that would be unlimited. It wouldn't limit me to what I could do. And so I felt like Goldmine and Coco makes people go, well, what is it? Like, Goldmine and the chocolate, what are they doing? So that's how we came up with the name. Like I said, it got started. The idea was birthed a year prior to it actually coming into the physical. I had my daughter. I knew I didn't want to go back into banking.
Okay.
I love what I did. It just wasn't a passion for me. It was just something to do to earn money and pass the time.
Right.
However, what I was making in banking, I still needed to make to help assist my husband in supporting our family. And so I just
major key.
Yeah. like,
make that money. Don't let that money make you.
If I don't go back to work. So I just, I knew that I had to do something. I didn't know what. I didn't know if it was like finding a work from home, like telemarketer job or customer service or something like that. But it had to be something where I could be available to my children. And my girlfriend, mind you, I was already in this community like 4 years or so as a hobby. I was a hobbyist. I've always been a crafter, DIY kind of person. So my girlfriend, we were talking one day and she suggested, why don't you just open up your own shop? And the idea was just like, why don't you just create a side hustle for yourself, you know, and see what happens and make that income. And I was just thinking like, open up my shop and do what? I was so not in that mindset. I was like, what you talking about? And she was like, you literally do this?
That's a question I'm sure the whole GRINDSET audience is asking themselves, right?
She was like, every time, because we talk on the Marco Polo app, so it's like video messenger. And so she's like, every time we talk, all you doing is you got your planner open and you're laying stickers and you're doing this and you're buying that and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I do this every day. It had become so much a part of my routine that it just never dawned on me. And so she gave me enough information, just general information like, hey, you can't draw, go find an illustrator. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's another way for you to do this.
She building a team.
Yeah, like you don't have to do it all to do it. And so she planted the seed. And so I went to my cousin and I said, hey, I know that you're busy with your work and what you're doing, but I would like to pursue this. Now is the time for me to do that. I went to my husband and I said, yo, just rock with me, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's my homie. So I'm like, just rock with me on this, you know? And he was like, all right, babe, whatever you need, I support you. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure the bills is paid. And I was like, man. So basically, I took all of his money that didn't pay the bills and I put it into the business. I had already had like the machines needed. I had a smaller one to start. I went to my mother and, you know, my mother brought me a bigger machine. My cousin bought the printer and I just started. I was like, wing it.
I'm glad you said that because you said you started the business with $100. What did you buy with that $100? And how did that turn into 200 to 2,000 to 200 million, right?
I bought paper and ink. That's how I started. It was the testing of the paper. What kind of paper do you want? What can you afford? You know, Google search or Amazon, buying paper, buying the ink. I had the printer, I had the cutter, you know, so it was just figuring out how I wanted things to look and just starting. And so Etsy is free to join. So I jumped on Etsy. She showed me how to set up a listing and she did my SEO and I put it out there because I was already in these communities. I was already a community member. I was just showcasing what I was doing. And they were like, well, where is that from? And I was like, oh, girl, I opened a shop. You know, like she got the shop, you know, and if you like something, buy. And I understood customer service. So,
and I think the difference with your company is that you were creating women that looked like us. So I think that made you stand out as well.
It had its own niche already.
How did you know that there was a market for that?
So there were already other shops that were already doing it. It was just figuring out my aesthetic. How did I feel Black women should look? Did I want cartoony? Did I want realistic? You know, all of those things. And so once I was able to figure that aesthetic out and realize that it touched my customer base, it was beautiful from that point.
That is beautiful. And it sounds awesome to have an idea and to take it into action and to start a business with it. And so when we come back for the next segment, we're going to talk about what the business looks like today and maybe even what the first 12 months look like. Okay. Fair enough? You've been listening to GRINDSET and we'll be right back.
GRINDSET. Riffin' on jazz.
When two friends get together to kick it
about jazz, it's called Riffin' on Jazz.
Catch us riffing on jazz every week right here on your favorite broadcast or podcast platforms.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN! GRINDSET.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We're here with Felicia Jarrell, CEO of Goldmine and Coco. And you did a great job of telling us how the business started. Would you mind going into how the first 12 months of business went for you?
Okay. The first 12 months of business, I was broke. That's the easiest way to explain the first 12 months of business. You do not make instant money because you're constantly making and reinvesting and making and reinvesting. That's if you want to grow. Let me put that in there because some people are okay with whatever they make initially. If you make, $3,000 initially, you like, yo, that pay my bills, that put food on my table. I'm good. I ain't got to work too hard for it. Then that's cool. That's your prerogative. It's your business, but treat the business like a side hustle and not a business.
Yeah.
There's a difference. For me, I wanted a business. I wanted a legitimate business that I could leave to my children and to their children and get in big box retail stores and things like that. And so it was continuous, make money, reinvest, buy more machines, buy more inventory, outsource, think about other new products that I could bring to the table so that then you're bringing in manufacturers from overseas and from the US and, really trying to build a stationary company. So it was a lot of brainstorming. It was a lot of tapping into my creative side. So I always tell people, I think people are always so focused on creating a wheel when sometimes you just need to reinvent it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like if a wheel is already there, just reinvent it to work for you. And in the stationary world, there's only so much within that scope, right, that you can do with paper and craft and all of that stuff. So pull the pieces of the wheel that you need and put them together and then expound upon that. Like, okay, but I'm also interested in this. So how can I, add this into what I do? So that's why I now call it a stationary and lifestyle brand because I do apparel and I do other things that are outside the scope of paper.
That's awesome.
But the first year is sleepless nights and early mornings. Like I wouldn't go to bed till midnight and I'd wake back up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And I had a baby and I was breastfeeding and, everything else. And I saw a vision, and I could see where I could go if I just stayed the course.
That's awesome. And so the GRINDSET audience always wants to know, right? You had a banking background. Or some banking training. What are some of the financials lessons that you've learned in the 3 years you've been in business?
Probably the biggest one is don't overextend yourself. I think that when we jump into business and you make that first 5,000, baby, you rich. Like, I done made 5,000 in a day or 5,000 in a week or whatever it is. You're rich and you start giving out money like, what I'm saying? You Bill Gates around this thing. Don't overextend yourself. Always tuck something back because you never know when an idea won't hit your audience. You don't want to ever waste too much money on an idea. So I think that is one of the most important money lessons that I've learned is to always hold something back. And when you are investing in an idea, start small. Don't overextend your number. Don't exceed, what your customer base is.
There's an asterisk. Small means different things to different people. To some people, that's $100. To other people, that's $10,000. To others, that's $100,000. Work.
Is true.
Use what you got and make it work for you.
Work within your limits. So if you got 200 consistent customers, don't go buy 500 of the same product. Buy 300. You account for the potential new customers, but you don't want to be stuck with inventory that only works for the time that you're selling it in. Because then you're discounting yourself and the new customers that are coming in, how the customers come in is how they want to stay. So if they come in on a discount, they don't want to convert to full price.
I love that you're dropping all kind of nuggets today. Another thing I'd love to know, Felicia, because you definitely talked about how you were able to start with $100, reinvest it in your company. At what moment did you realize this business was actually going to work? When did that aha moment
great
happen?
Question.
Oh, such a good moment. Such a hurt. Oh gosh. Okay, let me say that real fast for y'all. So about 2-3 months into business, I went through a situation where I was quote unquote called out. Basically another shop felt some kind of way. Thank God we've resolved it since then. But at the moment they felt some kind of way. And so they were a pretty known big shop. So a lot of people rallied behind them and just said a lot of negative things about me. But the amazing thing is that people can see through that. People can see when it's like a cliquish mentality or, whatever the case may be. And so it actually, what could have been considered a bad thing, people were supporting me because they were like, well, let me go find out who this girl is and, what she's doing, what she's about. And so while people were talking bad about me, my phone was just going cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And I was sitting up there looking at my phone like,
because they were bringing more awareness to who you were.
They were bringing awareness. So bad press is good press. Bad press is good press. Just because one person don't like it, don't mean 20 will. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
if
a major
one don't
key.
like it, I guarantee you 30 will. 30 will.
No such thing as bad press.
Right. Okay.
The first night I had made like $3,000, and I was like, oh, this will work.
That was the aha moment. Okay. And so take me from there to the moment you knew you were ready for a team. Because I imagine at some point you had to say, I can't continue to do this all by myself.
About a year. It took about a year. Right when I hit my 1-year anniversary, I had grown and so big that I couldn't handle the capacity anymore. I was working machines here at this desk. I had machines sitting and working and filling orders and staying up, and I was exhausted. And so I actually went on the Nextdoor app and posted an ad for an assistant. I wanted a stay-at-home mom, so somebody that had flexibility and didn't need the income per se.
Another major key. Oh my God. Wow. Keep going.
My assistant, who's been with me 2 years now, she lives 2 houses down, and me and her worked out this office for a year together, side by side, like 3 days a week.
I am just loving your story.
I went from doing $5,000 to $8,000 a month with her in a year to doing 25.
That's incredible. Felicia, you're just dropping, again, so many gems throughout this interview. And I think you're helping women understand, use the resources that are right there at your fingertips. So Nextdoor, I'm very familiar with that app, but it's an app in your neighborhood. Who would have thought you can hire somebody that close? But it makes sense. You know who your target audience is, and you knew who you needed to add to your team that necessarily, like you said, didn't need the position, but it was something to help them. So thank you for sharing that.
GRINDSET.
R&R on Sports.
Former NBA basketball player, Brother Mario Ellie. Welcome to R&R on Sports.
Pleasure to be on here with you guys, man. Thank you guys for having me.
It's R&R on Sports.
GRINDSET.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We're here with Felicia Jarrell, CEO of Goldmine and Coco. And thank you for sharing your story up to this point with us. But I was on your website, and you have planners, you have stickers, now you have apparel, shirts, shoes. Are you making, storing, and selling that? Or do you have other methods to distribute your products?
No, we drop ship. Eventually, one day, I do hope that we are able to manufacture it all and have it in-house once we get a warehouse. But I've discovered drop shipping about a year and a half in. I wanted to make some pouches. And
would you mind sharing with our audience what drop shipping actually is?
Oh, okay. So drop shipping is it depends on what website you have. So I have Shopify, which is, most people start on Shopify. It's easy user interface. And Shopify, you can literally go into their apps and type in drop shipping. and read the reviews and look at what each drop shipper offers based on your need. And so I was able to find print drop shippers, which that basically means you upload your design and then they will print it and ship it directly to the customer for you. So they have their price and then you charge, of course, your profit price and the customer pays that and it goes straight to them.
Wow. And so it sounds like you're just capitalizing a lot on your intellectual capital.
Yes. It's a lot of intellectual property involved. Mm-hmm.
And so with that, talk to us about this Michaels deal that is very, very similar using intellectual capital. You've gotten into a big retailer now.
Sometime last year, company Paper House Productions reached out to me and said that they were creating this campaign called This Is Us. And it was basically they wanted to focus on stationery that represented a whole lot of people, you know, from African American to gay pride to, you know, whatever your scope is, whoever you are. They wanted to represent you in a way. So they were reaching out to artists that they thought could contribute something to this. They presented it to Michaels and Michael said, yeah, if y'all can do it, go for it. We'll buy it. And so they reached out to me and they presented me with a licensing deal, which means that they already had an idea in mind that they wanted me to produce for them. And I was able to give them the licensing for it, which means that Michaels is going to purchase in wholesale from them what they created. And then I get a percentage of all of those sales.
Woo.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's impressive. And you're just getting started.
Just getting started.
How long have you been CEO of this amazing company? It's kind of
But
brilliant.
Listen, if you stick with something 3 years, I tell you, if you stick with it 3 years, people say 5, people say 10. You stick with it 3, you will start to see the profit. You'll start to see the customer that you need and not just the customers that you have, right? You'll start to make those connections and all of those things. So it's important to stay the course. Like the first year, you'll be broke. The second year, you'll question, should I still be doing this? These folks getting on my nerves. The third year, you start to see the fruits of your labor.
Absolutely.
I tell myself, I got 10 years and I'll be a millionaire. I'm probably going to hit it in 5, but I'm giving myself 10. I ain't going to rush the process.
I love that. And here on GRINDSET, this is very motivating for our listeners. And honestly, myself, this is my 3rd year of business. So I can totally relate to everything you're saying. So one other thing I'd love to touch on before we close out today. Can you talk about the importance of a business mentor? That's something I've heard you say previously. And, you know, why do you have business mentors? How have they helped you? Just what are some of the best things that you've learned from having them?
Okay. So with business mentors, I believe it's kind of like applying it to your grandparents and older people. If you sit at their feet and listen to what they're saying, you can avoid a lot of mistakes. That's how I look at business mentors. They can help you jump over a lot of hurdles you really don't have to hit. So I've always been intentional about having people pour into me, because you'll be surprised at the people that will connect you and pour knowledge into you as long as they see that you're eager to learn. So,
major key alert.
Yes. People don't want to talk to people that they know ain't going to do anything. But if they can see it, if they see like, yo, if I give her this little bit of information, she going to run with it, they'll give it to you for the free. Like they're not even going to charge for it. I have never purchased a course until this year. And the only reason I purchased a course is because I wanted to build a course. And so I felt like I needed to know the knowledge behind building a course and what people needed to know in order to do that. But before then, everything that I've learned has been self-taught or a mentor gave me the information. And it's about relationship building. I have never gone into a relationship with a mentor looking for something. I've always gone into the relationship asking, how can I serve you? How can I help elevate you in what you're doing? And in return, they see what I'm doing, so they pour back into me. So it's so important to have that mentorship and that respect there. You need to have the respect for your mentor that, they building their own stuff. So get in the grind with them and help them build that.
That's
because
right.
You win either way. Either way, you're going to come out either with knowledge or with money, but you're going to win.
That's right. I love that. And then I have to use the word superwoman with you, because not only do you have this empire in the making, but you're also a mother of 2 and a wife. For the listeners out there, how do you balance all of that? What does that look like for you?
So this is the part of this episode where I give all credit to my husband and to God. I have a best friend in my husband. We've been together since we were 12. So he knows everything that there is. He knows more about me than any other person on this planet. The good, the bad, and the in between. And when I presented this idea from him, he has never once told me no. He's never once told me, do it. I don't want you to do that. I want you to focus on me. If I wake up at midnight and say, yo, babe, I got to go to the office right quick. I forgot something. All right, babe, go. He's never questioned what I'm trying to build. And when it comes to these kids, when he go to work, he come home, he take care of the kids. I don't have to ask. I never have had to ask. He feed them, he give them baths, do their homework. I get in here and I work. I pick him up from school. I take care of him. When he get home, he take over. And so we're a team. And even though he's not in the business, he is the backbone of it.
That's remarkable.
God has given us all the help we need. Our parents live down the street. So we have our parent support. I have friends. I have a babysitter. We have a lot of support with my children. But God has definitely made sure that me and him are cohesive so that everything else works.
That's so remarkable to hear. And I think every budding entrepreneur needs somebody that supports them in that capacity. I hate to end this interview, but at some point we got to let you go so you can run your company. Can you tell us, Felicia?
It's been a big day, too. Today has been my highest day in sales ever since I opened my shop.
Congratulations. And we're in quarantine. Wait a minute. Before I close this out, how is that possible? Is it a promotion? Is it because we're all in the house? How?
You know what? As Beyonce say, I can't argue with these lazy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But no, I think this time has proven to be a sink or swim time for a lot of self-proclaimed entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So you have to be willing to pivot. And one thing that I've never been afraid to do is pivot in my business. I've never been afraid to communicate in my business and say, yo, this ain't serving me. This ain't working for me. We got to cut it short. But I'm going to come back with something better. Just give me a minute. Hold tight. And so I've always been willing to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's so important to do the necessary work. There's so many people out here working, but ain't nobody doing what's necessary. So you got to do what's necessary to get to those numbers, to hit those goals and the things that you want to do in life. And like last month was my highest month ever. And
in the midst of a pandemic.
A lot of people doing some planning, huh?
It was a lot of people. But I feel like God just shifted the narrative for me. And that's true. I'm deeply rooted in my faith. But he shifted the narrative. I knew stuff was coming before it came. And so I was preparing for it. I was obedient to what I needed to do when he gave me instruction. And so when it came time to pivot, I was ready to pivot. I was like, I bet. Got this.
I love it. I love it. Well, look, let us know, where can we find out more about your product? Let us know your social media pages, phone numbers, email address, website. How do we order and support you?
You can check me out on Instagram at Goldmine and Coco. That's GOLDMINEANDCOCO. I know it's long, sis, but it's going to be worth it. Check me out on Instagram. You can check out the website at www.goldmineandcoco.com. We also have an app, which is Goldmine and Coco. If you go to the App Store on Google Play, we have 2 apps, actually. We have our actual shop app, and then we have a Paymoji app for our emojis. We have a character named Peyton. So you can text and Facebook and stuff with the Peyton emojis. You can check us out there. You can email me at Felicia@goldmineandcoco.com. There's so many ways to get in touch with me. We on YouTube. I got a podcast, Treasure Gems, with Felicia Jarrell that you can check out. Like, if you can't get in touch with me, sis, the devil blind.
I mean, and you're the first guest that has not one app, but 2 apps. So I love that you're so current with your trends and knowing what your customers need and knowing how to capitalize on money coming from every direction. So
I definitely love the grind.
She is GRINDSET.
Grit and grind. I'm too Memphis.
I love it.
GRINDSET.
I'm Leslie Lynn Smith, President and CEO of Epicenter, and we've partnered with KUDZUKIAN. Each episode, hosts Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack talk shop with Memphis' brightest and best entrepreneurs. Check it out by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app or find us on your favorite podcast provider.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We just finished interviewing Felicia Jarrell, CEO of Goldmine and Coco. And if you're anything like me, I received a tremendous amount of major keys from her and inspiration as well. So I just jumped right into it. The first one is choose a name that doesn't limit you. Goldmine and Coco is an excellent name for a stationery business and allows her to pivot as much as needed because the name doesn't define her business model. 2, reinvest in your business if you want to grow. If making $5,000 is good and allows you to do that, fine. But if you want to turn $5,000 into $500,000, you have to reinvest into your business. 3, keep the end goal in mind, and that will inform your decision making all throughout the business. Do you reinvest? Do you purchase new equipment? Or do you buy a new car? Right? All of these things determine the end goal, determines all of those decisions. And don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. The coronavirus that we're in right now has caused a lot of entrepreneurs to be introspective. And the ones that have been able to reinvent themselves and pivot in their business are thriving right now. And then nearly every guest that we've had on GRINDSET talked about the long hours that they've put in the beginning to make their business work. And Felicia was no different. But also work within your limits. Understand what you're capable of and what you can do, and be intentional about what you offer your customers. If customers come in at a discount, they don't necessarily want to convert to full price customers. And so do the right thing up front. And in Felicia's case, and this is proven out throughout the world, that there's no such thing as bad press. When she was getting negative attention, sales were going through the roof. And then use the resources and people at your fingertips and proximity. You never know which neighbor has a special talent that you can use. And Felicia's advice is stick to something for 3 years. We don't know whether you're going to be successful at it, but 3 years is a great time frame to figure out if this is something that you want to do for the next 30 years. And then business mentors help you avoid a lot of mistakes. So find one. And then the last one is, and I think I said this earlier, never be afraid to pivot to survive in business. Cynthia?
You listed some amazing major keys. I'm over here trying to write them down myself.
And I'm sure I missed a few.
We took a lot away from the interview. So my woman power quote says, I don't like to gamble, but if there's one thing I'm willing to bet on, it's myself. And that is from Beyonce. I felt like it was appropriate to find something from Beyonce because nobody can outwork Beyonce. Whether you love her music or you don't, you can't say she's done some unprecedented things in her career at such a young age. And I feel the same for Felicia. Felicia is 30 years old. She's 3 years into her business and she's just getting started. So I'm super excited to see what's next.
That is a fire quote from a fire person describing a fire guest. So thank you, Cynthia.
My pleasure.
Thank you all for tuning in once again. You've been listening to GRINDSET, and we'll see you next episode.
GRINDSET. Executive producer Epicenter. GRINDSET is directed, produced, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.